towards Owen Roy, brilliant save indeed! Wolves has scored! Leicester City are in dreamland now! Vardy in the middle, this could be a huge moment! Vardy scores! And it's pandemonium in Leicester!
Mahrez with his left, Albrighton with his right, it is Mahrez, it's a good ball in, Morgan's there, it's in! Leicester City score! It is a captain's goal from Wes Morgan, who lifted the Premier League trophy in May. He might have played a big part now in taking Leicester City through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Lift the trophy to the skies! Leicester City are the champions of the Premier League! 5,000 to 1.
Good evening and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It is Wednesday night, which means it's time for another Fox's Den. And it's another day. It's another day without a manager. Still no manager in charge, although it has only been a few days since Ruud was sacked. But it has been 6 weeks since we were relegated. So, I would have preferred if we had somebody lined up by now. But hey-ho, that's Leicester City for you. Make sure to get all your comments in throughout the live stream. And Nil, what's going on, mate? How are you?
Bored out my mind with Leicester. I feel like I'm just like putting a stick at a dead carcass. I mean, fair play to you, Locked. You're coming up with about 20 times more content than the actual club is right now, keeping us all sane. But come on, Leicester, do something, anything. It's getting ridiculous at this point now.
Yeah, it is. It is getting very, very, very silly at this point, to be honest with you. I'm just bored. I mean, I was just saying to the lads before we started, like, I can't believe we're still talking about managers for so long. I want to talk about transfers, although we're doing that too, but I want to focus on that. I want to focus on how we're going to be playing football this season, and we just can't say anything yet. But Mark, all the way over from the US, mate, what's going on? How are you?
Boys, yeah, good. Pretty much echo what you've already said, right? It's just Groundhog Day every day, it seems. I was watching the preseason, the return of the training yesterday that Leicester posted on the website. That was interesting and gives you a bit of like feel for a bit of excitement for get ready for the season. But yeah, we just hopefully, I was hoping over this weekend we're going to hear on the manager, but probably just waiting for the role situation to be sorted on the Sheffield Wednesday end, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because it's like, we apparently want him. He wants to leave Wednesday. How hard can it be? Although, you are dealing with two Thai businessmen who one is a knob, and that's Chansiri, and the other's incompetent. And they're both incompetent.
You could have said the same for both, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, which is which?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Ethan, mate, all the way from South Africa. We've got a diverse panel tonight. We've got the US, we've got South Africa. What's going on, mate? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Besides, no news from Leicester. I'm just trying to keep warm. It's cold as hell here right now. But yeah, I think they brought up a comment. Intensity is the word of the week, but not from the Leicester media team. It's been so boring. I can't believe they didn't even wish Ruud happy birthday. I looked at his stories. All these pros clubs are wishing him, and then Leicester's just radio silent. And I mean, that doesn't sum up the club. What does?
Yeah, well, he did get a couple million quid off them for his birthday, so I think that was good enough, to be honest with you. But it would have been funny. We were joking around last week and speculating that imagine they wish him happy birthday at 9 a.m. and then sack him at 10 a.m. That would have been comedy gold. I mean, we keep saying this. I want to talk about it because obviously Mark spoke about the videos. There's videos online of the training and stuff like this. I saw an incredible conspiracy in the last couple hours from some Kunal, who's on our Twitter. He said that King used that intensity word of the week. Intensity, King did, and maybe that's a sign of things to come from Danny Roll.
Well, I hope so. I mean, we don't know. Maybe Andy King's going to end up being the last one left to manage the club, and you can do it. But I mean, Locks was sharing with me on Fox's Talk this morning someone actually posted photos of Sean Dyche in the gym. So that's where he's been at. And then it was pretty funny. Someone was like, well, why don't you just go and ask Sean Dyche if he's going to be the Leicester manager? He goes, oh, no, I respect his privacy too much. They're going, yeah, you respect his privacy by taking like 5 photos of him in the gym without his knowledge. But fair play. We'll see what's going on. But I mean, that would be good. But I mean, you interviewed the Wednesday fan yesterday, didn't you, or the day before? And he said that actually they started a few games, not as intense, trying to sort of play their way into the game. Although I do believe if he comes in, he will go back more to the kind of Leipzig style. I think you got all to your team based on the players that you've got, and we've got better players on Wednesday.
Yeah. It is very, like I keep saying, very frustrating. Foxes Talk, I was never a Foxes Talk person, and they'll send stuff. So I am now a Foxes Talk person, not a poster, but an observer. And it is unhinged on that on that forum. It is absolute carnage. I mean, literally, as we're talking now, I've got it open and people are talking about all sorts.
Lux, I have over 10,000 posts on that forum, so that's how unhinged I am. I've been on it for about 15 years, so...
Yeah. I mean, I've just seen something here. My contact at Seagrave has just told me roll is done. I mean, as an ill note, mate, it's been full of that, hasn't it, over the last few days?
Yeah,
it's just constant. Anyway,
I used to look into that. All those rumor threads were crazy. It's like, I've just seen him down at Morrison's on. He's there. Must be coming to the club.
But that's part of the joke. To be fair, though, there was one time. This is absolutely legendary. I'm not making this up. Someone's dad saw Yuri Tillemans on the plane, and he took a picture of him from the backside, right? And he just went crazy on Fox's Talk. And by the time Yuri Tillemans got off the plane, he looked at the guy who took the photo of him and was like, what have you done? It was already too late. The bag was out the hat. So it's got a low win percentage, but they do get some right sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. Yeah, I posted a couple. Actually, I'll tell you the last time I posted on Fox's Talk, it was me bigging up Russell Martin. And you can imagine how that went down. Especially with a lot of the boomers on Fox's Talk. That's not an insult, by the way. That's not an insult. I do like a lot of people on there. But yeah, it went down like a fart on a lift. Anyway, let's begin talking about a few different bits and bobs. And I've called this stream Deadwood FC because it reminded me, seeing that training video earlier, the amount of dead wood we do have at the club. Of course, some of that dead wood might not be dead wood, depending on who the next manager is. But there are a few names that I do want to talk about specifically, and I'm going to start a nil. Here's a big one. He's on the thumbnail. His name is Mr. Harold Winks. Oh, mate. Obviously, we've been very vocal about this signing 2 years ago when we were relegated. We now know he was given £90,000 a week. He absolutely blitzed the Championship, as he should, with a player of his stature where he had been before. In the Premier League, though, mate, he was very hit and miss, and eventually he was excluded from the squad because he refused to stay over at Seagrave one night a week. Where we've had back and forth, Sunil, on different shows about the Winks situation, whether we think he was in the right after just having a kid, or whether he was in the wrong, whether Rude's in the right. Where is your head at with him now? What is your feeling towards Harry Winks at Leicester City?
I mean, for the Championship, he'll still probably end up being one of the best players in the division. Like right now, I actually couldn't think of a midfielder who's better than him in the Championship right now, given who's sort of around. But that doesn't mean he should stay. I mean, there's a lot of comments there. It's interesting to see things, how people see it. I mean, you asked, are people Deadwood? I mean, you could, if you're going to be going down the Mr. Fast Twitch Fibers route, you'd probably say, well, anyone over the age of 26, they're Deadwood. They have no resale value, get rid, right? Which I can definitely see that line of thinking, by the way. I'm not even having to go at it. But at the same time, if you're limited in what you can do and who you can utilize in the club, you know that we're going to be having a lot of possession this season just because a lot of teams are going to be sitting back off us. He's comfortable in the ball at this level. He was I think the first 6 months that he signed for us, I was super impressed. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think he did fade towards the end. I think maybe the run of games kind of got to him. But that he's proven here. And there's a lot of comments here which are pretty good. Like, Josh Spitter, I think Raw will like him. He'll be like our Bannon. He got a 35-year-old Barry Bannon looking pretty good. What will he do is someone who's, 5-6 years younger and has played in the Premier League. But it'd be interesting to see what the rest of the panel say, because I think there has to be some things that, you have to make a stand. Like Rude, you can say what you want, but I do feel that actually one of the few positives you can say is I think he did try to make a stand. He did try and say that you need to have certain standards and a culture at the club. And if you're not going to be part of that, you can't be part of my plans. And the problem is that, once you start saying, we can open the door a little bit for one person, everyone's going to do it. And then your whole sort of ethos is gone. And I think, he did two really bad things, right? One was that I miss you, Enzo. And the second one was the, posting on Instagram during a match. I mean, that's pretty bad both times. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what the rest of the panel would do. But I mean, I'd be interested with him. Can he get a move elsewhere, though? I'm not sure. If his age and his wage, the two big, culprits, maybe he can't do. So let's see. But I think we could move him on. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. I think we signed Skip to actually be his long-term replacement. But my feeling is we won't get rid of him and he will be playing for us.
Mark, for context to yourself, of course, and anybody watching, to those that don't remember, we had the Enzo situation in November, where the day of, or the day after, or the day before, I can't remember the order, that Cooper was sacked. They were pictured in the nightclub in Copenhagen celebrating with a sign that said, "Enzo, we miss you." He was front and centre of that, along with a couple other players. And then fast forward, the John Percy article came out saying that Harry Winks had refused to stay at the training ground, one night a week. And then, he was dropped from the squad completely. He then liked a comment. So he uploaded a photo of his newborn baby, first of all. Then somebody commented on that post saying, "Oh, is this why you didn't want to stay at the training ground?" And he liked that. And then again, as Anil said, you go forward a few weeks. The day we were relegated, by the way, as well, the Liverpool game, he posts a photo of him drinking an Aperol Spritz out at a pub whilst we were being relegated, basically. So where is your head at? Would you welcome a return for Winks under a new manager, or do you think wages, age, and controversy get rid?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of points. I think to what you say there, is a player of his experience, age, he's been around the block. He should know better than some of those things. I think this staying one night a week at the training ground, I think that was blown up out of all proportion. Probably something went on. You just don't know the relationship he had with Ruud behind the scenes. Something clearly like with Vestergaard as well. There was some issues with him in some plays there. So maybe that was Ruud's man management or lack of. I don't know. I think in terms of Winks staying going, I think there's two things. I mean, it really depends on the manager we have, right? If it's again the possession-based Enzo kind of who role would be more aligned to, then yeah, he's going to fit in that style. God forbid we get Deitch, then no. He's hanging around there at favourite still in the betting. I don't know why, but let's get him gone. But then you look at his wages. And the fact that he's got a year left. I think there's so many. I mean, I have a list of them all here, and I'm like, there's so many of the players you could put into that group of, well, they're going to kill it in the Championship, but then we get to the Premiership and they're not going to be good enough. But so, yeah, of course, we'd love to have everyone that we go up with good enough. That's not going to happen in the real world. So you're going to have a good chunk of the squad that, yeah, if we go up, they're not going to be good enough. But I think for the chunk of players that have this 1 year of the contract left, if we get a bid, and I don't think we will, mirroring what you just said in terms of his wages, I don't think anyone will come in for Winks. If we did, I think we should get rid of him purely because of his wages, get those off the books. Because again, given the standard of the Championship, I think you could replace him for maybe not as technically gifted, but a good enough maybe backup that would be good enough for the Championship on maybe less than half of his wages. So I kind of sat on the fence a little bit there, but I guess my answer would be if a bid came in, get rid.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan, there is no doubt that he is one of the best, technically better midfielders in the squad currently. and again, we saw it with our own eyes when we were relegated and he came in. He absolutely dominated the Championship. He was vital in the Enzo Maresca system. I always think back, Ethan, to the interview that Enzo had with Radio Leicester, Owen Palmer-Atkin, with Winks. And Enzo came over, interrupted the interview and said, this guy is why we're getting promoted. Like, proper bigging up Winks and his importance to the system. So where is your head at the moment, mate, with Harry Winks? Would you welcome him back?
You want to try and give players clean slates, especially when there's a new manager, new philosophies coming into the team. But I think Winks, he's done too much damage to his reputation last season. I think he got injured first of all against Chelsea, and then you out partying. It's not the best look. Then obviously towards the end of the season was excluded from the squad. I think my criteria for players being at the team really is how important they are and how difficult they are to replace. So would Winks be an important cog in the machine? I don't know. Would he be difficult to replace? I mean, we have Skip, we have Braybrook. There are midfielders there that could potentially step up, or we're linked with Brownhill that could also replace him. 90,000 a week, though, in the current financial position that Leicester are in, is a lot of money. I just don't think he'll go. I think he'll stay because you won't be able to get a move. Leicester, not really good with selling players in their last year of their contracts. We've seen that with Iheanacho last season. So I think he'll go for free. He'll go back to Italy or Spain on 60 grand a week in a top division team, but I don't think we'll get a fee for him.
I mean, it is important to say as well, I think that, I don't know how all the mechanics work with the wage cuts, because we know that when we were relegated last time, a lot of these players took wage cuts. But if Winks was given a 90k in the Championship, then I would imagine his will not be reduced. And with Vardy going, Harry Winks will be the highest paid player at Leicester City, which I don't think is that surprising, to be honest with you, seeing as we signed him from Spurs and he'd played this European football before. But let's move on to the other guy who was also sacked off at the same time, Yannick Vestergaard. Now, for me, Anil, this is we can't even debate it. If we get any kind of offer, for me, I think you have to do it. We dropped a bollock last summer. We put too much faith in Enzo Maresca and we gave him a 3-year deal. Right, Yannick Vestergaard off Enzo's, because he asked for that. And then he left us in the shit. And then Vestergaard, he's had plenty of these controversies in the past. He's fallen out with different managers. Apparently had a bust up with fucking Steve Cooper. And, so for me, Anil, I don't think this one's even debatable, right? Would you just get rid as soon as you can?
Of course. But the thing is that we're not going to be able to get rid of certain ones. And I think, you know what? Harry Winks, I actually could see us getting rid of. If I'm being honest, I think it would more be like a season loan. But he's had the season's loan in Italy before, right? He was with Sampdoria, I think, when he got relegated. Who, by the way, got relegated again. Didn't go too well for them. But I could see him getting a move somewhere. Right, Vestergaard, though, I think is very unlikely, because I think with his age, I can't even see him getting a move to like the Bundesliga. Maybe he could go to Denmark or something like that, but they're not going to pay the sort of wages. Or the FC Copenhagen just signed Yusuf Moukoko, didn't they? Maybe something like that. So I don't think anyone will get it. I think with him, he's the one that I get scared of the most, just because, let's say Danny Royal does come in, right? He might utilize him. Will he be in the first team or not? It's like, the thing is against teams like, especially the first 3 fixtures we've got, where we're playing a lot of the teams that are expected to be struggling this season. If they're going to be parking a bus, having someone like Yannick will actually help. And he was in the team of the season, don't forget, when we won the Championship last time round. But what my fear is that we start getting used to that sort of football. And then if we do go up, we just get found out again because he's too slow. And that's why, for me, I'd be giving maximum game time to Ben Nelson, Okoli, if not those two, just young centre-backs that, more importantly than anything, can run. They can run back if the ball gets turned over. And it's just that tendency that will keep him. So, of course, he should go. Do I think he will go? No. I think he will be part of the squad. And my expectation is I think he will start and maybe even play more. But I think he will start a minimum of 20 games this season, because I just think you're just not going to be able to get rid of him, and he will have to play some part. And you do get 2 games a week pretty much in the Championship. So, sorry for the Yannick haters. I would rather see him moved on as well, but I think it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, what about you, Mark? Yannick Vestergaard, for me, I'm in the same camp as Anil. That's why I kind of caveated it with, and with some of these, there will be these caveats that if we can get an offer, but like we've seen the club turn down offers for players. We saw them turn down 5 million for Luke Thomas. We saw them turn down 10 million for McAteer. Those ones, I suppose, were a little bit more questionable. But this one, for me, if you get a couple million for Yannick Vestergaard, cash in, man.
Oh, well, yeah, without question, it'd be a no-brainer, but it's not going to happen. No, like all the comments saying, no one's going to come in for him. The only way you're going to shift him, or at least subsidize his wages, get him out on a loan like Anil said for a year, maybe subsidize his wages. At least you're only paying half that, for a season, and then perhaps try and do the same again for next season. See how the last year of his contract. But I feel like we're going to be saying similar things to a number of players. But he's another one. Yeah, of course, get rid of him. But no, 99% chances it's not going to happen. Right? He's going to be here. And I think if you're paying those wages and you can't get rid of him, then you're going to be using him, because we know he can do a job in the Championship, obviously. But we're looking at the bigger picture here, and longer term. And it's just a shame, because then he's holding up places, for Ben Nelson and Coley, who I think would be the preferable starting pair for a lot of fans, including myself. But I fear it's going to be Vestergaard probably starting the first game.
Yeah, what about you, Ethan, mate? Yannick Vestergaard, where's your head at, mate?
Listen, okay. If there's a Saudi billionaire listening right now, okay, Yannick Vestergaard is a 6'6" ball-playing centre back. Okay, what a beast of a defender, right? Leicester are only offering him out to the best of the best clubs. All right, he's sought after everywhere. But yeah, no, he has to go. He has to go. I think he's had his time. He's fallen out with a lot of managers. He's been dropped from many teams during Leicester's his Leicester career. And I don't think he's ambitious enough to look for a move elsewhere, right? So I think if he gets dropped from the team here, I think he's just going to sit the 3-year contract out, or 2 years that he has left. So yeah, he has to go, and I might be jumping the gun here and saying that we might have to get rid of more centre backs. Obviously, you still need the backup, because there are a lot of games. But if you can get rid of 2 of Vestergaard, Cody, and Fast, I'd be so happy. Like if Vestergaard and Cody go, yeah, Fast as a backup. I don't know how he'll feel playing as a backup, but I mean, you have space then to play Okoli and Nelson, and perchance bring in another centre back. But it's these guys that are too, I don't want to say old, but on the older end of the spectrum, that think that they're the team leaders and that they're undroppable. They have inflated egos. They poison the team, and they sort of impact other people's performances and their confidence. Because imagine a Kohli, right? This guy, when he's played, looks solid, composed, passionate, and then every match day comes around, he's posting on his social media, "Oh, it's match day," and then the lineup is out, and Vestergaard is starting and not him. So it does affect other players as well if you keep around Deadwood. But yeah, I think 2 of Vestergaard, Cody, and Fast need to go this window.
Well, the next player that I want to move on and talk about, Anil, and this is an interesting one to discuss. We joked about it earlier, but Boubakary Soumaré. Where to start with this man, Anil? Look, he was signed for a relatively big fee, a few years back now, in the same window as Daka, the year that we kind of went for it in the summer window. Everybody, a lot of people in world football thought he was going to be the next big thing. I think at the time, no one really questioned the signing, saying, "Oh my God, what are they doing?" No one did that. But there's been a clear, it's just inconsistency from him since he joined the club. And we start to see good things from him for a period of games, and then suddenly it's gone again, and he goes back to the lazy looking Soumaré, the one who looks like he can't be bothered to be there, sloppy passes, barely running, that kind of play he becomes all of a sudden. What do you think to him, mate, and what should happen to him? Because I think he's only got one year left, which maybe makes up the decision for us that we're going to have to cash in. But he's just so frustrating because there's clearly a player in there, but I don't know, we never see it enough.
Well, I'm not really sure there is a player in there anymore, to be honest.
Really?
I think he had his chance, and at the end of the day, he's been in the 2 relegated teams in the 3 years that he's been in English football, and he wasn't even part of the championship winning team either. So if you've been, quite raw about it, he's only got negative things in his time in English football. That's the reality of the situation. He's another one, though. I think he's on higher wages even than some of the others you've mentioned. So we're not going to sell him. That means, are we going to loan him away? I think what is ridiculous of Leicester is they've got to be one of the worst clubs for just letting players go on a free. I think the same thing's going to happen with Patson Daka as well. It's just Ricardo, just hundreds and maybe £250 million worth of players by the end of it will have walked away for absolutely nothing, and we never got any money of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. He will be another one. If he did stay, if he was in the team, he'd probably do all right. But you do have to save Soumaré. He's never scored for Leicester. Has he even got an assist? He's probably got 1 or 2 assists or something like that. But he's not really. He was signed to be a hybrid of like Ndidi and Tielemans, but he's not because he doesn't really have that attacking output. But I could see him getting it somehow. I know that in the youth football, he actually played as a number 10, but he's never really done it on a pitch. And, fair play to it, Wilfred, right? When he was in the championship, he scored quite a few goals and got quite a few assists. And even this season, he got a relatively high number of assists. And, he was also a bit inconsistent for his standards, but he had a better attacking output. So you don't really want all these players clogging up that are just going to be CDMs, all right? I think in this division, you need to be able to grind out wins, get points. You need someone who's got something to do it, and he's just not got that. So you move him on. Everyone knows it, but we won't. So prediction is we'll probably pay 60% of his wages as he goes and plays in Spain or France again, does all right. And, you see there's a player in there, but what do you really think is going to happen with Bouba? I think he'll just end up at like some mid-table at best French team, like, a Reims or something like that. And, Lille or something like that, and be okay. And he won't be anything better than that.
Because we know he'd probably smash it in the championship, like many others that we're talking about tonight. Like he probably would.
Do you think he'd smash it? Be honest.
I think he would. I think he would. Yeah, I do.
Right.
I do. Yeah, I do think he would. I get why you'd question it because his effort levels are sometimes just not there, and you need that. But I just feel like he'd find it easy in that division, like I keep saying, like many others have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember the drop off. But I mean, Mark, what do you think, mate? Because Anil mentioned loans there as well. Like for me, that's the worst nightmare. I always talk about the Leeds United situation when they were relegated with us, and they lost a load of players because of loan clauses. They all went out on loan and they didn't get any money. And we had it with a couple of players when we were in the championship. Christiansen and Boubakary Soumaré, they went out on loan. We didn't, we weren't getting transfer fees for them. If we can get, just like the others, mate, for me, I don't know about you, Mark, like if we can get a fee, cash in.
Yeah, I mean, just firstly, just going back to the point you were making about him smashing in the championship, because that would depend on his mindset, right? Because is he going to be like as lazy as always, thinking, "Oh, this is, I'm better than this. This is just too easy." I'm like, that concerns me. But I think there's more possibility of someone coming in for him than Vestergaard for sure. I mean, I believe he's on 80k a week, so he's second after Winks in terms of, I think him and Pereira both on 80 a week. So I think the likelihood is that someone will come in for him, but on loan. So yeah, we want to be loans. We prefer to get them off the books completely. But again, similar to what Manny said before about subsidising wages, if you can shift Bouba for half of his wages on loan for the season, that's him done and dusted then, right? At the end of the year, you're not getting a transfer fee for him, but probably be the case, like Anil said, with Daka and Pereira and others. So I think there's more possibility of maybe a Spanish team. I don't know if Sevilla is still interested in him. They've always had an eye for him. So yeah, let's look to that. Get him out on loan. Very doubtful that someone will come in to buy him. But yeah, if you can get 5, 6, 7 million for him, take it.
I mean, let me come to you with this comment here, Ethan. Tony says, ain't getting sorry, not this one. Sean says, they will never sell a player unless they turn a profit. I mean, this is the frustrating thing that it feels takes place sometimes, Ethan, because Bouba was a more expensive signing. I can't remember what it was, 18 million, maybe a bit more. I feel like if the offer's 5 million, let's say, they won't accept it, and they'll demand more, and then we'll either be left with a player going out on loan, or there's three options really. He'll go out on loan. I suppose that then that ties in then with him leaving on a free, but also we'll have a player that doesn't really want to be here.
Yeah, I think the club always looks to sell for the highest value, right? We saw it with Fofana, we saw it with Maguire. They always want to try and sell players at their peak value. And so I think with the loans, especially with Soumaré and Christensen, the hope was that they'd return to the Premier League, they'd stay in the Premier League, sign new contracts, and then they'd be sold. I think there's a time and a place for that. I don't think that we're in the position to really do that anymore. I think everybody in the team, bar the really promising players like Fatawu, Monga, they all have a price. It depends on who's interested and what they're willing to pay. But yeah, I think Soumaré, you look at him, he's physical, he's got the technical ability. I just don't think he's really had a manager who's really willing to work with him as an individual and try and make him a better player, or build a team around him. And I think if you do that, you could see him becoming a better player. But I think, what's he now, 26, 27? I think it's a bit too late. I always want to compare him and Dembele, right? They're both promising young French talents, but one had the mindset to really go and try and push on, and it's a shame because he has the ability. I think there is a player there, but I think it's not playing for Leicester City. It's a shame because I was really excited when we signed him. I remember he's this up and coming young French talent. I think Lille won the league that season as well.
Yeah.
So it was all about bringing in these winners with the winning mentality, and it's a bit of a shame to see how these winners have turned out. But yeah, I think his time is up. I hope that they do just cut their losses. I mean, if we get a fee that is more than 4 million, which is his contract, how much we need to pay him, I think we have to take it.
Yeah, I mean, Richard says Soumaré's issue is his attitude. It's holding him back. Frankie says Rudkin doesn't know how to accept bids. That clown rejected bids for Iverson last summer. And we've all seen his comments this week after exiting Leicester
very
City.
Interesting.
Saying it's chaos and all of this. And Fosshub told us last night as well that apparently after he posted about that Iverson comment, another goalkeeper who has left Leicester City messaged him basically addressing it, and so there is chaos behind the scenes. Not like that's news. We all know that, you know what I mean. But it's interesting that players now are speaking up about it more. I mean, we saw Vardy in his statement at the end of the season say it was a shit show, and that's really what it is. Right now, I want to come round to each of you. Neil, have you got a wild card for who you think is Deadwood? Maybe a controversial one that you think does need to go that others might not agree with. What have you got for us? Give us something saucy, mate. Something juicy.
I'll give you something saucy. It's the player that's better than Harvey Barnes. It's Steffi Mavridis.
Ooh,
right? Because
wow.
you notice that. Well, I think you should go. No, not really, because I don't think we've got many better players. But the thing is, right, is that, well, we need to raise some finances, right? And newsflash, you're not going to get rid of, you've got a list of people you want to get rid of, but people don't want to get rid of players. People don't want to buy your Jordan Ayew's or Bobby Rees, right? So let's say that Mavridis, you get a bid of, let's say it's 10 million. It's not even a massive amount of money. It's sort of like what we paid for him, but you can do it. So there you go. That's my chaos that I'm going to throw in. What would you do there if you get a £10 million bid for Steffi Mavridis?
£10 million.
Again, what's his ceiling, right? What's his ceiling? And that's the thing. I kind of, in the financial predicament we're in, I feel like you got to look at any bids that come in for any of the players, right? Regardless who they are, what the contract status is. So let's be honest. So Did he get the run of games he deserved? I don't know in the Prem, but he certainly didn't put up any trees. So yet again, we've got a squad full of decent to very good Championship players. So I wouldn't have an issue with that. I mean, if a decent bid came in, I think you'd want at least 10 million. How old is he? How old is Mavididi?
I want to say he's 27. Let me
Yeah.
just double check. 27. He's 27.
27.
Just turned 27. Last
Do you notice at the start of the show? That's why I said 26, not 27.
Yeah, I don't know, Ethan. What about you, mate? I think, although I'm very critical of him at times, no, I don't think I would accept 10 million. I think if we got to the realms of 15, but the thing is, I don't think we would get any offers of 15 million for Steffi Mavididi this summer. But if we did get offers of 15, I think at that point you would then have to really consider it. I mean, I think he was 3 million, right, that we signed him for, rather cheap, around that 3 to 5 million, maybe. I believe.
I thought it was 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm wrong. So there you go. Well, again, it's 15 double. So I don't know. Where's your head at with this one, Ethan? Would you keep him at all costs? Because we know that he would be one of, if not the best winger in the Championship, because there will be no Somerville this time round. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay, so I did say everyone has a price. I think the fact that he can play on the left, he's played through the middle and as a striker, I think that versatility could be quite useful. You could try and experiment with him. I think if he goes later on in the window. I think whoever comes in, I think wants to maybe try his luck with Steffi. But yeah, I think 12.5 million, I think it could be accepted. I'll always say, how difficult are they to replace? I mean, Mavididi leaves and Monga comes into the team. There's Marcel, Alves, so you have options there. So it's not the worst suggestion if you're trying to raise funds, right? It's just 10 million is like the club is desperate, right? That's if PSR. There's a points deduction, then I'd say, what, just accept any bids. But I'd look around 12.5 to 15 million. I think 12.5 is a bit more realistic. He's still 27, and we've seen players they're peaking now, 27, 28, 29, and it's. I'd be sad to lose him. I think he's a really good player. He's got the mentality and the work rate to really push himself. And I think he has this sort of aura and vibe about him that I want at Leicester, right? The sort of swagger, right? I don't think we've had, the players with the sort of swagger that really want to express themselves on the pitch. So no, I think you have to try and keep him. But like I said, there's a price on everyone's head.
Yeah, I would. Soumaré, I know he's gone to Atalanta for 12 million. I think it's jury's. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Steffi. I would still probably rather Steffi right now, but again, I haven't seen enough of him to say. Mark, I'm coming to you next, mate. Have you got one? Have you got a name to throw into the mix for Deadwood?
Nothing is probably going to be outrageous. So I'll give you two. I was on the fence with JJ.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Because I like him. I like JJ. I felt for him last season when he was going through that rough patch. A lot were getting on his back. I do like him. But again, his ceiling, we know he's a top-end Championship player, if we can keep him fit. Can play left or right, but he's got a year of his contract left. Wages are not outrageous, 30k a week. But so I think if anyone came in for him, given his a year left, I mean, get something now for him, or what they're going to do is Rudkin going to offer him another 5 years. I mean, that he'd probably go ahead and do something stupid like that. But then Victor Christensen's my other one that I think we've got a really good opportunity to get rid of. He's 3 years left of his contract. Wages are not too bad. Last season he was at Bologna, wasn't he, in Italy? So maybe another move back there. Italian football seems to suit him. I think the last time he got relegated, he wasn't his attitude was like, "Oh, I don't want to be here." Is that going to be the same again? So I would love it if we could get rid of him.
Yeah, let's talk about Justin, Ethan. I found myself hating him and loving him this season because he was truly awful in that first half of the season. But as Anil did one of my favorite videos ever on the channel, which was one of the analysis. I can't remember what game it was, Anil, but it was like exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, and G as to why Justin is being so exposed. And here's a spoiler for you. It was Steve Cooper, right? The system, how we were set up. I feel like since Christmas, though, Ethan, he actually was one of the better defenders, one of the best players, actually, in the team. What are you thinking for Justin, Ethan? Would you get rid now, or would you keep him as one of the senior players at the club?
I think this is tough because, like I said, if the club is desperate, they'll try and sell anyone they can. I think JJ, I was just worried about him keeping fit, right? I think his history with injuries is really bad. So I think if you can keep JJ fit, I think he's one of the best players in the team. You see, now I'm like Redkin right now, whereas I think if we go up, right? If we go up, I think the value of Justin goes up a lot more. I think he's an English fullback, up and down. You can sort of market it to a club and get more of a fee. I don't think there's a player at the moment, maybe a Luko or Woyo, but I think JJ, he should be in the starting 11. I think his value. Do you know what his value is now? I don't.
Let me have a look what the reliable transfer market says. Let's have a look. James Justin, they've got him at about £13 million. They've got him valued at.
Well, you sure it's not Euro?
With his that seems high. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's transfer market. You can't put too much faith.
I don't know. 10 million for Justin.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, let me ask you, mate, because you did all these analysis last season. You know that it wasn't completely his fault. A lot of these goals that came down the right hand side, but what are your thoughts towards James Justin now? Because I remember last time he was relegated, he was very open and he said, "Look, I'm not going anywhere." And I feel like someone would have picked him up last time, right? Because his stock was still quite high. He had come back from an injury, and I think he said something I read something in the newspaper. I never read a newspaper, but I read it on this particular day, and I read that he said, like, this club has shown so much faith in me with my injuries, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here and help them come up. Now, this time round, you'd imagine if he does stay, he will be a first-team player, starting most games. What do you think to Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, ask everyone in a panel, like, who is our best fullback at the club right now? I think most people would probably say Ricardo, but I mean, he didn't really play much last season, did he? So I don't know. He's pretty reliable as JJ. I know he hasn't been the same since his injury, but he hasn't got, he's been relatively injury free since that, and he played a pretty intense position. So, who would you rather have, JJ or Victor Christensen? I know the answer to that one. JJ. Who would you rather have, JJ or Woyo Koulibaly? We've never really seen him play,
I'm not sure on that one. I want to see.
Well, he's a shiny new toy. If you're saying that, I'm sorry. You got to go with what it is. I think JJ's proven himself to be a really good championship player. The only thing I say is he's only got a year left on his contract there, so that's a bit of a shame. Maybe we have to cash in, so maybe our hand is forced in that regard. But he's been pretty consistent for Leicester, I think. He always, even on the Cooper as well, when he's getting absolutely rinsed, he looked fed up. But you got to say that on the pitch, he was still highly professional, and he never really let it get to his face, and he put it in. So, I personally would keep, but I could see him going, actually, to be honest with you, because I think, if you're an ambitious club, only 1 year, maybe you could force a sort of fairly cheap deal and get him out from Leicester. I don't think we're doomed if he went, by the way, but I personally think right now he would be in the first team, yes, and starting.
Right.
Real quickly. I saw Ricky P was going to be another one that I was going to mention. I see a couple of comments. People put that. I didn't mention him because I felt it was a bit of a mute point because, no one's going to come in for him given his injury situation and wages. So I think we'll see him this next year. Let's hope he stays fit so we can enjoy him in his before he leaves next season.
It's funny you mentioned Ricardo staying or going because me and Luke, Aussie Luke, have a bet on the go. Listen to this because it is a belter. I have said Ricardo Pereira will be at Leicester City next season, right? Luke's adamant that he's going to go, and the bet is that whoever loses the bet on the first game of the season is going to have to sit on the stream and eat a ghost chili pepper. So that's the bet. I've got the better side of the deal because he said the first game of the season, which is actually before the transfer window closes. So he could leave after the first game, and he's done it. But he's that adamant. He's agreed to do it. So join us for Sheffield Wednesday on whatever date it is, because Luke is going to be eating.
That'll be fun. Luke's had his pants down in that wager.
He suggested it. It weren't even my idea. It was his idea. I found a loophole. Exactly. I have found the loophole that the transfer window doesn't close for another 3 weeks. After that. Right, Ethan, who have you got a name, mate, to talk about that we haven't discussed so far?
I think it's only controversial because he's our only striker at the club, and I'd get rid of Daka. You're talking about Deadwood. I think this guy is the poster child of Deadwood. He comes off the bench. He doesn't impact the game. He starts the game. He doesn't impact the game. It's frustrating to watch him play because obviously you know what he could have been, right? We've seen glimpses of him in a Leicester shirt. I think it's just so frustrating, the sloppy mistakes, the poor decision making, and I think you can coach him to a point, but I think he's unsavable now. Like, this guy, to get his performances up, he's going to need to take 3 or 4 Viagras to get his performance up. It's shocking. It's shocking. But yeah, I think it's only controversial because he's our only striker at the club, right? I think, if we had competent backups, he'd be the first one out the door. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe Roll can implement a more pressing style, get the best out of Daka. I just don't have faith that he stays with us if we do get promoted. I think he still leaves. I don't know. I think you look to ship on players that they're not proven in the Championship. They're not proven in the Premier League. Get rid.
Yeah. Well, there is something. We are going to discuss managers in a second to end the stream, so nobody go anywhere, because I know that's what everyone wants to talk about, and we're going to talk about the manager situation. I've also got a clip to bring up as well. But before we do, Anil, let me just get your opinion on what Ethan said. He makes a good point. The only reason it's kind of controversial with Daka is because he is the only striker. Would you just get rid and leave yourself a bigger job at having to sign 2 strikers for depth, or would you just keep him around, let him run down his contract, and and deal with that later?
I mean, look, you can always loan a striker, which is what my prediction is.
That's true.
We will loan a striker from somewhere, so I don't think that's going to be as big an issue as people think it is. Now, here's the thing with Patson Daka. I do agree with Professor Ethan with his attire today, but I really think this one depends a lot on who the manager is. I think if you had Sean Dyche, Chris Wilder, Gary O'Neill, even, he's going to be useless. Get rid. If you're going to have Danny Rowe, well, we'll get to it because I'm obviously preparing this to try to be advanced of what was going to happen. But my prediction would be that if he comes into the club, 2 players that I think will surprise a lot of us would be Casey McAteer would be my first shout. My second will be Patson Daka. Now, the thing with Patson Daka is that under both Brendan Rodgers and Enzo Maresca, he was asked to play a slightly more technical form of football than what he was used to. And you just saw it with your own eyes. He struggles with that. That's not his game. He came through the Salzburg, which is the Red Bull system, and their system is a bit more crash and bash. It's a bit more like cause a bit of chaos, try and use your athleticism, win the second ball, strike the ball hard, strike it fast, keep pressing, keep being intense, and try and overwhelm the opposition by be more fit than they are, more athletic. If we actually move to that style, I think he'll be good. And, you know, he may not even score any more goals or anything like that. But the thing is, you kind of swarm the opposition, you put them under pressure, you make them make a lot of mistakes, and you force goals that way. And literally, I've seen it with my own eyes. That's when we signed him. He was playing in that style of football, and he was effective in that. Now, who knows? Maybe even if we get Daniel, he might not even play that style. So I might still look like I've got egg on my face.
Well,
but
he is from that school, isn't he? He's from the Red Bull school.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't mean that we would play that system necessarily, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're working a lot of assumptions here. We're assuming we're going to get a manager. We're assuming that manager is going to play this specific style. We assume he's going to play that style and use this particular player in the team. Any one of those three could be gone wrong. But what I'm saying is, I think if we did play that style, I think that it will get the most out of a lot of our players, and there are two of them. Like the other one is there, Casey McAteer, and I said the same thing, which is that if I was a coach, I'd love to coach someone like him because his off-the-ball work is absolutely elite. He works really, really hard. He gets into good positionings, and he actually causes a lot of good situations. That's where he could improve. He doesn't make the best out of them, and Patson Daka is the same. But for example, I think in the Championship, there was a spell where Patson Daka was in the team, and Mavididi and Fatau, in my opinion, they were at their best when those three were playing together. And Patson Daka was still doing his classic coming off his knee, coming off his backside, not scoring goals. But the thing is because he had the pace and he was occupying players and he was pressing more than what Vardy could do, it made the other two more lethal because they were getting more space to happen into. But Vardy was obviously much better on the touch. So, you know, in terms of system football, he could apply the system. But look, for what it's worth, given how much we paid for him and the wages, sure, if there's an offer there, we should get rid. But I don't think it will happen. So I think he probably is going to be at the club. And but like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a bit of a tune out of him. And it might be in a sort of way that you don't expect, where it's not like he ends the season with like 25 goals or something like that. But the team scores more goals, and he was indirectly responsible as that, you know.
Right. Well, before what we're going to do, we're going to just have a little chat about the manager, and I'm going to bring up a video in a second as well. But I was joking around a bit about Fox's talk and all of that, and Nil. I mean, you know Fox's talk a lot better than me. You know how much nonsense is posted on there, but you know the thread. What do you call it? Is it what do you call it? Discussion. What is it?
Forum? Yeah, it's a forum. It is a thread. It is a thread. Yeah.
The thread for roll is popping off right now. You've got people left, right, and centre claiming. The latest one I've seen is, where is it? Roll done, 3-year deal, club slow to announce. So let's see. Whilst we talk, I'm going to bring this up here, and this is what Mark was talking about. I'm sure you've all seen it. But it is the video from the day 2 of pre-season training here. Fatawu's looking lean, by the way. How good is it? Let's mention that, Nil. Yeah. Actually, let me ask you, Mark. How nice is it, mate, to see Fatawu back in training?
Yeah, I saw it when he came in. You know, dancing. He was always dancing. I was so happy. He's going to be like, it was like a new signing, isn't he? It's going to be that's like one of the few positives that's come out of all this debacle. Yeah, when he just rolled in, you know, high fiving everyone, just punching. He's like, oh, what a legend. I can only hope that he's going to be, you know, get up to speed. It might take him a few games, but to get back up to the speed of where he was, you know, pre-injury, because you know what those kind of injuries can do to a player. So let's hope. But yeah, that's massive to get him back.
Sorry. Yeah, Sean just said I saw VK and instantly got mad. Kingy is a future manager. I mean, let's talk about the manager. I mean, let me come to you next, Ethan. Of course, with all the manager rumours and speculation, there is always a chance that Andy King could be the next manager. I know Anil's been not in favour of it as such, but he's trying to bring people around to the idea that it's not such a bad thing. How would you feel, Ethan, if it did end up being Andy King?
I think the fans in the stadium seeing King again, you know, week in, week out would raise the atmosphere up. I think you know, for what he's done for the club, I think the fans will get behind him, right? And I've been calling for that, right? I've been calling for a manager or management that the fans can really get behind, and you know, you don't get half the fan base that are upset, half the fan base that are happy. So it wouldn't be the worst appointment. Would it be the most successful appointments? I don't know. You know, he's relatively unproven. He knows a lot of the youngsters, which is, very good. But I still see him as more of an assistant manager, someone who's, giving advice, helping someone more senior, more, tactically, experienced, more, comfortable in the managerial or head coach position. But yeah, he's definitely someone for the future to consider. If, for instance, the manager gets poached, right? I think I'd love to see Andy King take over from him. So yeah, let's hope that he sticks around. I still want to see him in management. I think, for the managers that he's worked under, I think he could really develop his own sort of style. And I'm interested in seeing what he can do. If he is still in charge. The club is slow to announce role. If we get like a preseason game with King in charge, I'll be interested to see what he can do. It's something new, it's something exciting. So I'm down for it.
Mark, Andy King, somebody's mentioned that he hasn't got his pro license, and somebody else, Sean, has mentioned about PR. I actually do think, and I know Anil maybe disagrees with this slightly, and maybe I am being cynical or over the top, but I think it would be a cowardly move, Mark. I feel like it's the easy way out for Top, bringing in a manager that he knows the fans will get behind because it's King. He's a legend. I think fans will be a lot more relaxed with him than they would be if it was a Dyche. I feel like if it was Dyche and we lost the first game, everyone would be going nuts. But if it's King, they'll be a bit more relaxed with him. What do you make?
Yeah, he'd definitely have so much more credit in the bank, wouldn't he, with any bad start to the season? But no, that appointment can't happen. That would just be a joke. As much as love King, is obviously club legend. He's a long way from that yet, right? He's got to learn the game, be under a few managers. Maybe 2-3 seasons. Who knows? Because we've seen how young some of these managers are. Brighton manager, what's he, 32? But yeah, so I just hope, excuse the pun, but we're not looking through blue tinted glasses. We win all of our preseason games or our first couple under Kingy, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, everyone will be jumping on the bandwagon. Come on, guys, let's keep it real. I can't happen.
I've just stopped it here, Mark, because you're about to watch Oliver Skip get rinsed by somebody I don't even know. I don't even know he exists. So he's clearly a youngster that's never played a game of professional football in his life. Skip tries to do put a challenge in and completely slips. Here we go, look. On his arse. There we go. Lovely. And this guy, I don't know who that is. Do we know who that is? I don't recognise him. I thought it might be Wanya, but it's not Wanya. It's somebody else. Somebody in the chat will know who that is. Yeah. But yes, let us know in the chat. Jaden Joseph, or Lewis Page, one of the two. It's either Jaden Joseph or Louis Page. Go on, Anil. We've mentioned the role, rumours, and all of that. Are you confident it's going to be him? Because I feel like it's like myself and yours and many other fans' first choice. Are you confident that we can get it over the line? I know we don't know anything, by the way, Blue Tick Glasses. We're not claiming to know anything other than the rumours that everybody else has seen. But yeah, what do you think, Anil?
Yeah, if it was anyone else, they'd already be the manager by now, right? Because the new financial year has started, pre-season has already started, all the other people are on free contracts, right? They can start immediately, so they would be able to do it. The only thing, you and I were talking about this off air is that in classic Leicester City fashion is what if something went wrong right at the last minute? Like the deal is about to be done and they call Chansiri and he goes, oh yeah, I don't want 600k, I want 2 million. Puts the phone down, and then you're thinking, oh, we've spent all this time, we have to pay this. And he is a sort of person I could see doing that, by the way. And then as a result of that, you end up and they're like, oh, well, in that case, though, he's still our first choice. So what we're going to do is we're also going to play the same game as well. And we're not going to buckle until it gets right to the day of the transfer deadline. So we're going to keep Andy King in charge until this happens. And then Andy King does win 2-3 games. Everyone's like, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I could see there being a situation like that, to be honest. For what it's worth, Blocks, I do agree with you. I think it would be the coward's move to appoint him. But the thing is that it depends on the situation that you're in. And the thing I would say is that we keep saying this, right, is that we are all like, I've never felt more disconnected with Leicester City. It's funny, like last season, because obviously we do the channel all the time. And most seasons, I would normally go and see like at least 10 games, right, across the season. Sometimes I've seen, in the when we won the title, I saw as many as I possibly could. I think I saw like 32 games live that season. And you know what? Last season, there wasn't once where I thought I really wish I was at that game. Maybe I tell a lie. That Southampton game where Jordan Ayew scored the last-minute winner, I would have loved to have been there. That looked pretty cool, actually. But other than that,
when Josh brought the video,
and I loved seeing his vlog. That was awesome. But other than that, I really couldn't care less, which is so damning to say as a supporter, right? So I don't know. I think that we are missing it. I think we do need somehow to find a way for the fans to fall in love with the club back again. And the thing is, even if we do appoint Danny Rowe, the thing is he's going to do a Fofana at some point. He's going to start twerking for someone else. You know this is going to happen. I think he might be a little bit. I think he might be at the club longer than Enzo was, right? But I mean, if you're good and the deal comes in, you can have a mid-table Premier League club with 50 million to spend and a CEO that's not incompetent and a director of football that's not going to lie to you. You're going to be taking that deal, right? That's just how life works. This is not someone who supports the club. The thing with Andy King is that, that's where I feel like the next properly good era for Leicester probably is going to come from someone. Like, it could be him, it could be, I don't know, Schmeichel gets into coaching or something like that. I think we missed the trick with Wes Morgan, but I think we need someone who maybe was part of that team who cares about the club basically, and they might get like a similar offer, but no, Leicester's my home. I want to make this club special. So I'm probably delusional, but that's where I see it in some ways. And I think that, when you're in a championship, when you've got a squad where even if we make no signings and we lose a few players, we're still going to have a squad that's like in the top 7 in the division. So you're going to have a lot of easy games. So in that respect, it's an easy way to learn. But yeah, I think if we was to do it, people who think he's a mistake, it probably would be.
Do we know?
By the way, go on.
Sorry, Locke. Sorry. I was just going to say, Anil, do we know, or if we're assuming that if Roll comes in, that King's going to just stay as part of the backroom staff?
It looks that way. I think they're probably realizing they need to have a succession plan. And I bet that is the plan. They're thinking, okay, if we take Danny Roll on a 3-year deal, we'll train up Andy King. And then when he goes, he won't be left shafted. I'll just say one thing as well. That thing about you need having a pro license, that only applies to the Premier League. You don't need to have a pro license for the Championship. I know because I sneakily sent my CV to Leicester City, going for the manager. So I haven't heard back from them, surprisingly, just yet. But,
wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I think you're I think you would have got it if you weren't a part of BTG. I think it's the BTG that
there you go,
you, mate.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, big shout out to Manny. It's his birthday. Happy birthday to Manny.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Another
Manny.
another year closer to the end. My prospects looking about as good as LCFC. So there you go. Happy birthday to you. Look at his pun. Is a nil trolling,
Rolling.
Very funny, very funny. A joke that Anil would be proud of, a dad joke that Anil would be proud of. Right, we're going to end it there. Hopefully, we're going to have some manager news soon. There is not a video planned for tomorrow. That's 7:00 space. So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, that is where Roll will be announced. That would be very nice. If not, you will see us on Friday, 7 p.m, because we will have on the Foxes Trust. They've done their end of season survey. 3,200 Leicester fans filled in the survey. The results, as you can imagine, aren't pretty. They have a webinar next Tuesday where they're going to basically go through the results, the findings, and explain what they're going to do. But he's going to come on with us first. Now, the exciting part, in my eyes, personally, what I'm excited about is the bloke that's actually coming on is called Jamie, and he was actually a part of the reform the Foxes Trust. Somebody who was dead against how the Foxes Trust were, and he actually became a board member. So he is, he's basically going to be coming on, letting us know what's going on with that. So make sure to join us at 7:00 on Friday for that. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Ethan. Thank you to Anil. Happy birthday to Manny. Let's look forward to some more managerial rumours and all of that good stuff.
I will see you on Friday morning, Locks, at 9:30 a.m. for when Danny Roll is the new Leicester City manager. That's my prediction.
Emergency
Keep
stream.
that space free in your calendar. I think it's going to happen.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right, because Leicester City, if you're watching, I am running out of ideas for content. So please hurry the fuck up. Right. Cheers, Mark. Cheers, Anil. Cheers,
guys.
Ethan.
Cheers.
We'll see you all soon. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit subscribe. And we will see you tomorrow for Danny Roll's announcement. Bye-bye.